What's up, Exactly.
Okay.
And this is an example of that. We've got disc and everything in between. So basically,
All right. Get a cat, they said. It'll be fun, they said. How's this motherfucking cat gonna go in the little cubby hole and step on the power strip and shut my whole operation down? It's Monday. How's everybody's Monday? Hopefully it's better than what mine's been. And come right back in here, and the fucking thing is straight to on live feed. I'm over here trying to set shit up. I'm over here trying to set shit up for you guys and hit the live button again, and the motherfucker just on live feed. So, I mean, you guys don't come here for high quality content, so. Yeah, I might open the door and let her ass out today. This is some. I go in another room. She had knocked the router off the stand and stepped on the power strip and turned the power button off. Man. Anyhow, how's everybody's Monday? Hopefully it's been better than mine, which hasn't been horrible. Until just now, to be honest. I've been struggling with some health issues. I have pretty bad infection in my leg the last couple of weeks. And I fucked my back up last week at work. So I've been gimping around pretty good. But getting back in action. Leg feels good, and actually like within this last hour or so, knock on wood, my back hasn't been giving me many problems. So hopefully I'm over the worst of that. I know. Should just sit outside and wait for the door to open to run back in. Little fucker. What's up, buddy? Let's try and get this show back on the road now. Apologize for the technical difficulties and delays. It's been one of those days. Been one of those weeks. Last week I was hoping, fresh start and all that stuff, but looks like it's just going to linger on this week too, or at least today. Thanks, Tim. I try, man. I try. How about you guys? How was your week? Everybody had a good week, I hope. Had a better Monday than my last 15 minutes here. I really shouldn't complain. I didn't have a horrible week. So, we do the normal bullshit, but we're behind. So, in your minds, just play back how it normally is, where we crack jokes and talk shit. And then at this point is where we lead into some good information. And he's here. He's sitting there waiting. But before we bring him on, I had Tony. Tony just happened to be going to Moser to pick some stuff up, so I had him shoot a little quick video for everybody so you can kind of see the inside of their warehouse. Obviously, they got a lot of proprietary and top secret information on how they manufacture parts, so couldn't get a tour over there. But he got a tour of the warehouse and got one of the guys to give you a brief history of Moser and how they operate on a day-to-day basis. So I'm gonna throw that video up real quick, and then we'll bring Big Head's ass on here and learn about something he's very familiar with. Rear ends for men, primarily men, anyways. I am. If we're talking about I need car parts, I'm the most depressed motherfucker on the planet because I always need something. What's up, brother? How you doing? You get out of the hospital yet, Justin? How you doing, buddy? I see Lonnie got them new toys over there looking good. So throw this video up for you guys real quick and give you a little lesson here from Moser on how they operate in their warehouse.
Basically, with what we do here, this facility that we have here, this campus, we've got over 100,000 square foot under roof, which a lot of people don't realize we're that big. But part of the key to being able to turn stuff around quickly is our warehouse. So we stock a lot of components that we don't make ourselves. You know,
right.
Eaton Posies. We got customers that want Willwood brakes. We have those. Those are all on the shelf. The only way we can make this work with the quick turnaround is to have a large inventory.
Right.
And you know, fortunately, that was something that back in the day when Greg started the company, you know, he always hated to be out of something. So
right.
We've never been a just-in-time inventory company. We've always stocked a lot of inventory. So everything from the stuff that we make, from yokes, here's center section cases. That, you know, these are all machined across the street, and basically there is a 3 1/4 aluminum Moser center section case.
There's your through bolts everybody wants.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, basically, you know, when it comes to gears, you know, you can't build a rear end without gears. So basically,
Ooh,
from Richmond to US.
your pro section looks a little short.
Yeah.
Me and Dean used them all.
The 10-inch gears are.
Me and Dean used them all up last year, didn't
exactly. on a quite often basis.
we? Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, we've got skids of gears. There's 12 bolts, 12 bolt gears, 8 3/4, 9-inch. You know, here's a skidded two skids of 411s. You know, a couple skids of 457, 456, 389s. So when we say we've got inventory, we've got.
They got gears for
got
days, boy.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants, they can just call here and order a gear, can't they?
Yeah, exactly. And we sell the setup kits individually, the gears individually, basically everything that you need you can buy in parts and pieces. You don't have to get nothing complete from us. However you want it. Willwood.
Look at all this Willwood.
We've got a few.
Holy, there is a ton of Willwood here.
Yep, and it's a very popular choice. And we even have the fluids. So it's.
So you can order an entire kit just to put on your car if you want.
Yep.
You know, some of these are just made for bolt-on applications that you can get for your car.
Exactly.
My favorite brake to run is your guys' Moser disc brake, especially if I'm doing, say, a Mustang with a double beadlock. They have certain beadlock wheels that have a short barrel.
Exactly.
And you can't fit a standard disc brake back there.
The low profile kits are really necessary for that type of setup. Yeah.
That was something we got to work on the initial project with Tim.
Yep, absolutely.
And that was fun because I got tired of grinding my calipers down.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, the fact that you guys took the initiative to do that was awesome.
That's great. And here is we also keep a lot of the stock applications. So if you have an old Fox body with a C-clip axle that you broke the axles in, but you're not necessarily doing anything crazy with it, you just want to go back to a standard C-clip axle, we stock a lot of the C-clip applications right here. Of course, we've got some great partners in Summit and Jegs, and they carry a lot of our product, and so oftentimes the C-clip axles is something that they move a lot of,
right,
generally for us. But yeah, and there's a lot of the stuff that when it comes to stock replacement parts, we try to keep that stuff on the shelf.
Okay.
Just so you can get back on the road as quick as possible.
Heck
we know
yeah.
how crazy that is. You know, us as car guys, I mean, all of us that are in this industry, we grew up being car nuts.
Right.
And, you know, you make plans for a weekend, and we've all experienced it. I mean, I had an issue with a car of mine where a spark plug wire had got up against a header and melted, and I had made plans to go to Woodward. And, you know, it was one of those things, you know, it's late Saturday or late Friday night, heading up there on a Saturday, and was so disappointed that I, you know, because nobody carried the spark plugs that I need, and I ended up finding a guy that had some. We made a custom wire, and I was able to make it. But, you know, when you've got something that you want to be there for, you know, we're all little kids on the inside.
Right.
You know, you get all geared up and you're ready to go, and then something throws a monkey wrench in it. That's something that we try to help plan for. You know, we don't want anybody to miss a race, miss a car show. This is a sport, this is a hobby that all of us are passionate about. We love it, and it breaks our heart if we can't get to an event. So we know how that is.
It's addictive.
It
is the most.
Addictive is an understatement.
It is the most addictive thing I've ever done. So, but you know what? With guys like you that are able to help us and become partners, we couldn't do it without the support of you guys. Our customers couldn't do it without the support of you guys. And even though it's not always shown or seen, that 2 and 3 day turnaround or that next day option is huge for a lot of us. And
Absolutely.
I know we always appreciate it.
Yep. It, you know, for a lot of the people that's been around this industry for a long time, a lot of you had the fortunate chance to ever meet Greg Moser. You know, he was a guy that loved the sport. And this whole business was built just to support a hobby. It wasn't about, his first thought wasn't making money. His first thought wasn't, you know, how can I better myself? This was all to support a passion that he had for racing. And that came first. And that translated into the way the business was founded. You know, when we lost Greg and Mary Ann, of course, Rob was already running the company at that point, but it never changed. Even with Rob, he's the same way. You know, if you see him at a race and you've got a problem, you've broke a center section, you've broken an axle, you can go to Rob and Justin and Rocky at the race trailer, and they will miss around. They will stay there and help you get your car running, even if it means they can't make a round, because they understand that's what this is about.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, this warehouse is phenomenal. Just
There's a lot more we haven't even gotten to, but some parts are areas we can't film in.
Right.
But, yeah, you're only seeing a small part of it.
If these guys were in my shoes and got to see what I see every time I come up here, you know, it's amazing.
It's a lot of fun. It's, you know, this is one of those things that I've been here over 20 years, and I still enjoy coming to work. You know, I still love what I do. It's unlike anything I've ever done before, and I'm very blessed to be working here.
I know since I've partnered up with you guys, every time I walk in, from the girls up front to the machinists, they all welcome me in. You know, nobody looks at you cross-eyed. Everybody I've ever brought has treated us like family. So we thank you guys, and we're really happy to be part of the Moser team. Man, what a facility.
We love it.
Boy, oh boy, is it ever Monday. Now my damn mic's muted. Anyhow. So it was nice that Tony was able to make that happen. You know, get you guys a little behind the scenes footage there and a little information from the horse's mouth, so to speak, on products and services they offer. Tony did get more footage, so we'll put a complete video together at some point and get all of that. It's just, if I would have done that, it would have been a half hour. And more importantly than that, let's get Tony in here, and he can explain stuff to you guys and answer your questions, like this one, you know. wish I could have gone with a complete center section instead of trying to build. Now we're going done deal center. So, I mean,
Translate that for me.
I mean, that's a situation there where maybe you could have talked to Tony or Moser and got a game plan, because it doesn't sound like you're happy with whatever you got going on, Richard. But yeah, make great stuff and made in the USA.
Absolutely. I do have a question. How's come the minute rear end come out of your mouth, you've been smiling nonstop?
Smack him, Josh.
Josh, don't do it. What's going on, man?
So you guys can see Tony also got a bunch of parts, and he's going to kind of take you through the process of selecting the right parts for your project. You know, some of the reasons, or some of the qualifiers, like horsepower, prep, no prep, big tire, small tire, transmission gear ratios, vehicle weight, etc., to help you understand better what axles, axle housing, what gears you need, etc. So, Tony, the floor's yours, buddy.
Well, where do we start? I think the first and biggest question we ever get. Oh, really? This is going to help. Why'd you bring that one up out of all of them? The biggest question we ever get is, what do we need? Everybody wants to order a rear end that is way too excessive or isn't big enough. We get phone calls all the time. Hey, I want a floater housing. I want this. I want that. What are you doing with your car? Well, that's a bracket car that makes 600 horsepower. Well, you don't need a floater housing. We get calls in that the cars make, I just want a 31 spline, 4 9-inch through bolt center section with a pro gear. That doesn't make sense. You can't do that. The cars, every rear end has a specific purpose. We brought a bunch of different parts so we can kind of explain what we have, what's going on, what they have to offer. I guess we can start with the rear end housings themselves. This housing here, this is actually a dragster housing. But any 9-inch housing that you have can get tons of options. We can get pro brackets, which have tip that up, Josh. They have the fill center, or the fill hole in the center. They have a drain plug in the bottom. They have, if you can see, flip it upside down. They have different options. We can also order different bolt options from just about anywhere, or we can use 10 soldiers brackets. We can get McCamus brackets. We can get anything and have them all built to that. And that's a 9-inch center section. And depending on what you're doing, sometimes the 9-inch is best, sometimes the 8/8's best. Depends on weight, depends on the style racing you're doing, depending on the car. There's a ton of different applications. From there, we can go to, what axles do you want? The axles. So this is a drilled axle. It's a gun drilled axle. This is what's called a radius flange. They used to be a star flange, and they come up and they were real pointy and took all this meat out. They were having problems with them breaking. So they redesigned this to a radius flange, 5/8 stud holes. And again, that's not necessarily what you want or what you need, depending on your application. That's a big axle. This is a 40 spline axle.
So why would someone need a gun drilled axle?
And
why wouldn't they want one?
Depending on what you're doing, if you get a lot of tire shake in a car, so with a big tire, we get a ton of tire shake in no prep kings. I don't use a gun drilled axle. The tire shake will break the axle. So we've had a lot better luck using the solid axle. I still use the radius flange because of weight, rotating weight, 5/8 studs. But if you're dead hooking this thing and you're radial racing, the axle flex in it is good. So a lot of radial guys will gun drill their axles. A lot of bracket guys that want weight out of the rotating assembly that are going to dead hook their tire, they will actually gun drill them. The flex in it will allow you to keep the axle splines a lot longer without ripping the ends of the splines off because it just moves the axle around. This is a floater axle. This is splined on both ends. We'll get into the floaters here in a few minutes. A lot of guys with really high horsepower cars will run a floater axle. In case the big benefit to that, if you break an axle, you just break an axle. Your wheel stays on. The floater is actually part of a hub assembly that is mounted to the housing itself. So that's like our big tire car. We run a floater. Our Mustang, we do not. Our Mustang, we run a proprietary. It was the first one that was ever designed that we know of. It's a 40 spline 8/8, and not gun drilled. The car tire shakes a lot, so we don't gun drill anything. But that rear end and axle assembly actually broke on us at 300. Was it 317?
Yeah.
317 passes.
But it was just a pin. Yeah.
And wasn't nobody's fault. It was fatigue. We had 317 passes on it. We were asked by Moser to run it and find the limits because we were part of the R&D with that 8/8 rear end with the 40 spline axle. We wanted to keep weight out of it. The 8/8 was lighter. It was a direct bolt in. It was easy to use. They had bigger, thicker tubing on the housing. So they went from I can't remember what the wall thickness was, but the stock Mustangs had a problem with the axle tubes flexing. With the axle tubes they have in the new M88, they don't have any issues. So we were able to get a lot of life out of that axle and that rear end with that ring and pinion. So another thing Moser offers and what they have to offer, and we can get into all the specifics. If people have questions or whatever, we can get into the specifics of it. The through bolt 9-inch. This is a aluminum through bolt, meaning the bolt goes all the way through. There's no studs that are drilled into the housing. The bolt goes through the main cap. This 9-inch this 9-inch center section actually carries a 9-inch, a 9.5 inch, and a 10-inch ring gear. You start getting into the 9.5, 10-inch pro gears. Those are for cars that make a lot of horsepower. It's still the same center section. Now, what will change is the pinion support. The pinion support on these, depending on what you're running, if you're running the 10-inch, you're going to run a big bearing pinion support. This is a 10-hole for a big bearing. That will change. This gear right here, this is actually a 9-inch gear. Then, just as you look at it, a 9-inch, 9.5, a 10-inch gets bigger. And that changes your gear section or your gear size. Brakes. You heard us talk about brakes. We got to do this. This is pretty awesome. So the difference is you have, I don't know if you guys can see that good enough or not. You can see the difference in the brake size. The Moser low profile brake will clear a Billet Specialties double bead lock. No other brake manufacturer that I know of will clear a Billet Specialties without grinding the caliper. We've had Willows, we've had strength, we've had all kinds of them on there. And you have to grind the caliper to clear it.
Where are those calipers made?
The Moser calipers are made. They're actually made at their plant across the street. So here's the cool thing about it. Their low profile brake kit is actually just a rotor and bracket change. It's a smaller diameter rotor, and it uses a different offset bracket. That caliper is used for the same one that they use for everything.
Which is a really nice setup. That's what when I got my rear end from Tony, we got that, and it's really trick how it all clips together, and how nicely it all fits together. And it is a real small setup, and it fits inside my Billet Specialty bead locks nicely.
Well, you don't have to grind anything. That makes a big difference. I get a lot of people that call me and they want a rear end because they don't think that they can get it in 2 to 3 days. And as you see in their stock and inventory, we can get just about anything in 2 to 3 days from them. We're not special. We just put the order in.
Oh, you're special, all right.
The special is, if they pick it up from us, they get free delivery. They just have to drive out to us to get it. But a lot of guys don't want to drive to Portland.
So I get stuck going.
So Josh gets stuck going. Is there any way you can ban some of these guys on here?
Which one?
Mike McKinney?
No. I mean, yes, I can. No, I won't.
Will you?
So let's run through the process. Let's say somebody calls you and says, "I've got a 3,200-pound Mustang that makes 1,200 horsepower, and I want to no prep race it. What are your recommendations going to be?"
So the first thing I'm going to do is, honestly, if it's a Mustang, I'm going to recommend the 8.8. It's a direct bolt-in. It is a little bit lighter in some cases, depending on what you're outfitting it with. You can still run all your stock control arms. You can run everything stock. If you get into a 9-inch, the 9-inch runs a shorter upper arm, and the stock lower, but it puts the arm at such an angle that it's really hard if you start getting really higher horsepower cars. It's hard to get that bite out of it with a 9-inch. So we always try to steer everybody with a Mustang to the 8.8. Not to mention all the R&D we've done with it. I mean, you've seen what we've done with ours, and we've nowhere near pushed the limits of it. So, what we're going to say is we're going to ask them, what type of racing are you doing? You say you're doing no prep. Are you doing backside of the track? Are you doing front side? Street racing? What are you doing? And then we're going to ask them their budget, because I don't want to outsell somebody, and I don't want to give them sticker shock. So what we do is we'll say, okay, your budget's this. I can get you close, and this is what I would do. Do you want brake to brake? Do you want the axle cut down? Do you want, what size wheel are you going with? Are you mini tubbing it? We try to get as much information as we can to build them a rear end. If we're building, say the car, they're doing front side stuff, I'm going to recommend a 35 spline. If they're making 1,500 plus horsepower, I'm going to recommend a 40 spline. There's different applications for every single car. And the weight of the car, everything goes into factor, like you said.
So here's one. 85 S10 Blazer, leaf spring, small tire, 3,200 pounds.
That
So
weight, I would probably do a 4.9-inch. Depending on, do they want pretty? Do they want functional? Do they want to spend money? There's, different things they can do, but I would probably do, depending on the horsepower it makes, I would say do a stamped 9-inch, do a street gear on it, do 35 spline axles, because there's no difference between a 35 and 33. The price is the same. The warranty is the same. So, I mean, go a little bit bigger. I would do low profile brakes. I would leave the purchase off, so that way you can set your own pinion angle if you're a welder. If you're not a welder and you don't know, give me, the ride height of your vehicle and a couple other things. I'm going to ask some questions. I can have them weld them at whatever degree we think we want it set at.
here's a good one. 56 Caddy Hurst with a 502.
Man, that's going to be a heavy car. It's going to be a real heavy. Again, that one there, I would do, depending on how much horsepower it makes, I would probably just do a stamped 9-inch in it. Their performance nodular center section, even though it's heavy, will handle. I've seen it handle 1,500 horsepower. It's heavy, but it'll handle it. I would do a street gear. Anything heavy, I wouldn't do a pro gear. Anything that you want an extreme amount of runs in, I wouldn't do a pro gear. Pro gear has its place, but it also has less longevity to it. So there's
Why is that?
pro gear is a little bit softer. You do get some axle deflection out of it. That's why they run a side load bolt in a lot of them. But for example, we run a 10-inch pro gear in our MPK car. I get 10 to 15 passes out of one. We tire shake, the ring and pinion deflects. We were running 514 gears. You have less teeth on the pinion. And when you run less teeth on the pinion, you get a lot of deflection on that gear. This year, we've changed our trans gear ratios, so we can run like a 471. We have 2 more teeth on the pinion. You get less deflection out of it, more bite into the ring gear.
And then Jasper bringing up a Cadillac, just out of curiosity, 76 Cadillac with a 502. What would you recommend, like 700-800 horsepower?
That's probably the same thing. I would run a nodular 9-inch center section. I would run a 9-inch gear. I would run the stamped housing. And then, depending on what the setup is, what brackets you want on it, what brakes you want on it. I run the Moser low profile brakes even on our NPK car. So I'm a proponent of their brake system. They work very well.
That was a trick question. It's a big block front wheel drive car.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, the 76?
Boss Hog, baby.
The 76s?
Yeah.
Really?
6, 7, and 8.
You would know.
Recommend a back brace on the 9-inch housing using leaf spring, 72 Mustang, 3,500 pounds, 533 big block, near 5,850.
I always recommend bracing. No matter what you're doing, I recommend bracing. If you have ever seen under load what an axle tube does in deflection, you would understand why. We did, when we did the M88, we actually put sensors on the housing to watch how much it moved. And we put a GoPro down there. And if you had seen some of the stuff that we've seen along with Tim Irwin, who was the head engineer over there, he started building braces for the 8.8s and tying them in and explaining to me why we want to push the rear end, push the axle tubes back when we brace it. Not to mention, if you take a rear end that has been torqued a lot with no bracing, and you take it up there and have them put an alignment bar in it, you'll see how much they moved.
How much is that option? It's not much. To put the brace on.
I don't have my pricing book in front of me, but I'm thinking it's like 150.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it was. I remember from when I ordered mine, it was 150.
Jasper, it depends. Have you met the boyfriend, and is he bigger than you?
What's your number to the shop?
You can call the shop. It's 937-696-5041. If I'm not there, which I'm not a lot of times, you can call 937-696-5081, and that will ring. That'll actually ring over straight to me. As long as I'm not in a meeting or on the dyno, I'll grab it.
I just recommend you call your boy. I got you, boo. I'll drive up to Michigan and help you out.
With what part?
Whatever's required.
You'd be the girl or you'd be the boyfriend?
No, we're going to beat the boyfriend.
At what power or weight level is a Fab 9 more advantageous over a stamped 9-inch housing? So with the stamped housing, we really haven't seen a whole lot of problems, 1,500-1,600 horse or less. Anything over that, you definitely is a lot lighter. You want the weight out of it. So I would definitely run the Fab 9. Weight wise, it's not going to really matter. It's going to be more power. If you are getting a lot of wheel speed, you're going to have better bracing with the Fab 9 than you are over the stamped housing. And the tubes are going to be thicker. Everything's going to be better on the Fab 9. But it's preference over what you're running. A lot of the guys aren't running 2,000 horsepower, and if they are, they can't put that down to the ground. So I say, be realistic about it, but also if at some point you want to change their style racing, then go ahead and buy what you want, and you never have to upgrade. Yes, they do. That Moser sells everything from a brace kit to individual parts. If you name it, you can buy just lower brackets from them. You can buy just coilover brackets from them. You can buy anything you want that goes on a rear end from Moser. You don't have to just call and order a whole kit.
And they have the brace kits for 8.8, a 9, a Fab 9.
They do. Their brace kit for the 8.8 is it's an adjustable kit that goes from the pinion snout back to the tube. It's got Heim joints on both ends. The Fab 9 and the 9-inch is a solid cold rolled piece that forms to the housing. You would just have to tell them how long your housing is. That way they know which brace to sell you.
Well, I think John needs a brace kit for a 12-inch with all that Pro Mod power he has.
What? You broke up. What'd you say?
I said John needs a brace kit for a 12-inch center section. All that Pro Mod power he has.
I was talking to you.
Mm-mm.
You can brace anything. Here's the problem I have with bracing these rear ends. A lot of guys will start welding their axle tubes, and then they'll put bracing on it. They don't pay attention that their axle tubes actually move. Anytime you start welding on that tube to the housing, you create heat, the axle tube bends. So I always recommend putting an alignment bar in it. If you don't have an alignment bar, send it over to Moser. Let them build your bracing. Let them weld it up. You won't have an issue when you get it back.
So running a Fab 9 housing, assuming you still recommend the back brace to the U-bolts,
Yeah, typically we'll tell them to come up to about within an inch or so of the U-bolts. A lot of times that depending on the width of your rear end. they'll actually have to cut them down and special make the ends of them. But yeah, I definitely recommend running, 2 within an inch of the U-bolts. Let's see what else we got.
Wake up, Josh.
So about
John.
Do what?
Some of us work today, unlike Tony.
Oh, he never works.
Oh.
So we have, every application is going to be different. You may have an older car that you want to keep 12 bolt, and we can order 12 bolt stuff. We can put 4 9-inch ends on it so that you don't have the C clips. You don't have to run the C clip eliminators. They can convert any rear end to 4 9-inch ends. It's just a whole lot better axle design, a whole lot better bearing design. You have better brake options because the offset of the axle. There's a ton of different stuff that you can do. So, you're not stuck with an 8/8 or a 9-inch. You can run whatever housing you want and have it modified to fit. If you already have, a car that's set up with a 12 bolt, send it to them. We can modify that. I think one of the other things I want to get into with what people are doing is gear ratios. Everybody looks at gear ratios as finish line RPM. And although some of that is true, the realistic part of this is we're not running quarter mile anymore. Almost everything you run is 1/8 mile. You need to look at starting line ratios. You need to look at finish line RPM. There's a ton of stuff to look at. I'm curious to see how many people will Google starting line ratio that they had no idea what they're looking at. All that is simply taking your first gear ratio and dividing it by your gear ratio, and that'll tell you what your starting line ratio is. So if I take and I have a 163 first gear ratio and I times it by, we'll say, a 514 rear end gear ratio, I got an 837 starting line ratio. On a big tire car, we like to be anywhere between 820 and 840. On a small tire car, I like to be somewhere around 760 to 780, somewhere around there.
Why is that?
Wheel speed. A lot of big tire cars, we rely on wheel speed. The lower the number, the quicker your wheel speed will get away from you. The higher the number, the easier it is to control your wheel speed. But there's also a lot that goes in with tire diameter and everything else to figure that out. So I know with a 28-inch tire, if I can get anywhere around the 700 range, or I'm way better off. We just have to look at finish line ratio, which you're always, unless you're running a lockup, you're 1-to-1 or close to 1-to-1. It's possible minus torque converter slip.
How do you find out what the trans ratio is?
Ask your builder. That's the easiest thing to do is find out from your builder. If you run a glide, there's a few options: 158, 170, or 180. Those are pretty simple. You start getting in the 400s. You look at anything from a 154 to a 180 first gear ratio, and then your second gear ratio, is usually half, unless you have somebody special cut or special build you a second gear ratio. but there's a ton of variables that go into those.
Aluminum Daytona opinion support. I see race only on them. How about for street and strip use? What about a billet steel Daytona opinion support?
So if you look at the 10-hole billet Daytona support, the Daytona pinion support, the one that you're talking about is race use is a 10-hole, and that's typically because it only carries the big bearing. I see a lot of guys run the aluminum 5-bolt and not have any issues on the street whatsoever. The steel one, they don't have any issues. I like the aluminum just to try to keep some weight out of it. But you can run any pinion support you want to run as long as your gear supports that.
Richard's saying stock setup for his 400.
What that would probably be a question for Lonnie or Justin, because I think they made different first gear ratios depending on what year and what it came out of.
Well, I'm sure they probably did, especially if it was like one of the HD trucks or.
Right. Yeah, there's a bunch of variables that just depends on what it came out of.
So I called Lonnie over to Extreme Automatics.
Yeah.
See what that. See how you figure that out by the case, and then call Tony.
Yeah, I mean, if you get me the information, I can help you decide or pick out what rear end you want to run. Oh, let's see. Renee says she can't find you on the live feed.
Just go to his page.
I did. It will not let me pull him up, and I follow Ohio Grudge Racing.
It's because Facebook's a hoe.
What'd you do?
What'd you
You gotta
do?
go on YouTube. I don't know what they're doing. I think they've ranked me lower or something. They're just being annoying. I just tell you, better go to YouTube. YouTube's better. I almost have enough.
Negative. You're gonna go back in jail again.
Yeah, there's honestly there's so many options on what you can do with these things, Josh, that it's really hard to put into perspective what they can and can't do. If you can dream it up on a rear end, they can do it. And if they can't, we have somebody who can. Do you see Chris Lane's comment?
Oh, let me see your phone.
Are you there?
It won't. It says that you
Irene is
can't
correcting me. Chris, I think the only one who can help you with that noise is Josh Robinson. Irene is correcting me.
Turn it down.
Chris, I think the 5-volt pin sport with some max horsepower with a trans brake. We really haven't seen what the max horsepower is. I mean, I've got one out there right now. I'm trying to get an upgrade to the 10-bolt and a pro gear. He's been running the street gear, and he's making right around 2,200 horsepower. So as far as rear end capability, I mean, they'll make whatever you want to, whatever you can put to them. Just the bigger bearing support is really big for the real high horsepower cars. Renee,
What, baby?
are you on my page?
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Somebody's been drinking already.
Josh, no, Josh just did it.
You logged her in on my page.
On his page, don't mine.
You see,
Good.
you see,
Josh, she logged in on my. Somebody,
Sorry.
watch this. You ready? You ready for this? All right, I'm a full disclosure. I'm not a cop. Renee, how many drinks have you had?
I've had 4.
Oh, she didn't lie to me. She usually says 2, and I'm like, Renee, I'm not a cop.
I was having a bad day today. Can you switch it to mine?
are you joking me right
No,
now?
I'm not.
Oh no, just run the page.
Do what? No, we don't
So
want her.
what's the difference? What's the difference in a 9 and a 10-inch or an 8-inch? I know you kind of briefly touched on that, but why would someone switch? Let's say somebody's already running an 8.8. Why would they want to go to a 9 or a 10? Which I know a 10 is, or a 12 is extreme, but
If they're already running an 8.8, they can get a pro gear for an 8.8. They can get, a pretty good gear that'll handle whatever they want to throw at it. But say they 4-link their car, and now they want to throw a 9-inch in there because they've got more adjustability on the 4-link setup. They go from a 9-inch, which is they can run a street gear or a pro gear 9-inch, to a 9.5 to a 10. The bigger the gear, the less deflection you get out of it because it has more bite into the pinion. Okay? So the benefits of the pro gear versus street gear, they say the street gear is good to 900 horsepower. I've seen guys run them with, 12, 1300 with no issues. But the pro gear doesn't get as many passes out of it because it is softer. I knew this was going to be a hard one. Hold on. That didn't come out right.
that is how you get those extra inches, isn't it?
That did not come out right.
Oh, I bet it came out just fine.
No, it did not come out right. But yeah, it just depends on what you're going to run. If you're going to run, if you're Bill Lutz and you're trying to rotate the world on its 28-10-5, I'm sure he runs a 10-inch gear. He runs a 10-inch pro gear. He probably gets a lot more life in it than what I would out of a 10-inch gear because he's small tire. He's not shaking the car to death. And, he's not trying to hit it as hard as we are out of the gate. So there's options, but there's also limits on what you get. Bad thing is I don't want to sell a guy who has a big tire car that makes 3,000 plus horsepower, a 9.5-inch gear or a 9-inch gear even that is a street gear. When in reality he should be running a 10-inch, but then he's going to get mad that he's only getting 15, 20 passes out of it.
Yeah.
That's what they're designed for. I mean, that's exactly what they're designed for.
If you're making that much horsepower, everything's a wear item,
Right.
and you should know it.
Well, you should, but you'd be amazed at how many people don't.
Oh, I can imagine.
Put a Hoosier on your car and try to hit it, as hard as you can. Watch that thing shake to death. I guarantee you're replacing the gear in 3 passes. And the biggest thing is honestly not even hit it as hard as you can. Sometimes we underestimate what the track will take when we're no prep racing, and you really get into a lot of tire shake if you underestimate it. 1,000 horsepower. U.S. gear has really come a long way. I try to push as many U.S. gears as I can, just because we've had really good luck with them. And I've got U.S. gear out there that is a 9-inch street gear that's making 1,200-1,300 horsepower that's living with no issues. A lot of that is set up too.
I got you.
You do not want that. maybe
I got you. Come to Edgewater. Come to Edgewater. March 24th and 25th. I got you.
Is your truck is your Blazer ready?
2028.
No, not yet. I'm still waiting on Tony. I'm still waiting on Tony to come help.
Listen to me. I feel your pain because my 66 Ford Mustang has been sitting in our big garage here at home for 14 years. I've been waiting for him to get it ready, and it's just a shell of a car still.
Hey,
so I feel your pain on waiting on Tony McKinney to get your car done.
I'm going on
like
5.
Nice relationship. It's a shell of a relationship.
Oh, really? I told her one more race car.
No. How many years are you waiting, Josh? I'm waiting 14. How
All
many
right,
you
listen.
got?
We're talking rear ends. We're not talking about you guys bashing me over your cars.
Yeah.
I had to recruit Rob Hill to come help me. Because Tony don't make no time for me.
See how he is?
Yep.
There you go. I know Rob said he would come help if he went so far. I don't know. Everybody else, I'm like the only person in America that's not afraid to drive all over the country.
You're not.
Everybody else is like, oh.
In my defense, I said, when you're ready to fire it, call me. Well, I was going to put the startup tune in it, get ready for the dyno so I can tune it.
Yeah, okay.
Really, I just need someone to come hang out for like 10 hours and be a third hand. It'd make all the rear 10 work so much easier and quicker. I just get so frustrated, and then I just go to the gym instead. That's what's really been going on the last 2 or 3 weeks.
And by gym, he meant JIM. Go ahead.
John, he will definitely take a look at your rear end. I think last time we were out there, I caught him checking it out a couple times.
Oh, that was our buddy. That's
Hey, don't be skipping leg days like Jim Howe, man.
Listen, that dude is funny.
Jim Howe probably come help me before Tony would. Motherfucker, you're never in town. Schedule what? You're never in town.
That dude's funny. He's a good dude.
Was that Jim?
Who, Jim?
No.
Or John?
John.
Oh, God. Yeah. No, John's good people, man.
He was hilarious. Josh was hilarious.
All right.
Not you.
I'll be working on it this weekend. If you don't come,
hold on. Somebody that made plans for me this weekend.
I'm not going to be there.
I was talking to John. I already know you're not showing up.
Oh. John, go help him for me.
John ain't gonna listen. I'm home now. Now watch. He's gonna be like, I fly back out Friday.
But no, he meant he was home right now. You didn't call him, so he's leaving tomorrow.
John's great.
Yeah, he is a good dude.
That is a little bit of a drive, brother. I appreciate you. All right, back on task, people.
Yeah, you're way off task.
So what else have we not touched on? So one of the questions I had was, without cracking a vehicle apart, or cracking a rear end apart, let's say you buy a car, how do you know that you have the wrong gear ratio in your car? Because I feel like that's a pretty common thing. Somebody buys a car, it's already got a rear end in it, and they're not going as fast as they want to. How do you diagnose that without taking it apart?
Oh, so there's like a Neanderthal method of rotating the drive shaft to how many times your wheel actually turns. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. But they don't.
So you can, and it's all over Google. I never can get it right. I'm just going to be honest. I always take it apart. I take my opinion or my ring divided by my opinion. That tells me my gear ratio. A lot of times now, and it used to not be, but now they're stamped on just about every gear. and it tells you what gear it is, or it tells you how many teeth are on what to what. And, we've seen some weird stuff, but you can you rotate, mark your drive shaft, you rotate it. I hit something. You rotate it, and then you count how many times it turns to how many times your wheel turns.
Moser 9-inch standard gear, 10-bolt, 35 supply gun drill. What kind of horsepower rating and what kind of life expectancy for front side no prep? Where are you front side no prepping? Because some of them are like radial prep.
Yeah, some of them you scrape and it gets better, and I'm not gonna say where, but you're unprepping
a lot of places.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, here's the thing: you go to one where any big tire car is running, or anyone that has had Brandon Mass or somebody that's been prepping the track for years. You scrape it, the track gets better. You get a big tire car, does a burnout, and it'll go from pulling 150 to pulling 230 to 260 on the starting line, and it makes a huge difference where you're going. We go to all national event tracks because of what we do and the fan base that follows along with it and how many spectators it can hold. So you go to a national event track, you scrape it, the track gets really good. We were in Alabama, and they could not wash it enough to get it to pull under 340. If a lot of you guys don't understand what that means, we use a track meter. But you go to, we'll say, even the tracks, you go to Muncie and they scrape it. It's not going to be as good as what National Trails is. So it just depends on where you're racing and what you're doing. But, that 9-inch standard gear 35 spline, you could probably get away with 1,500 horsepower because you're not going to be using every bit of it.
But some place like Edgewater, you could use that and more.
Yeah, you go to Edgewater and, Brandon Mass has been prepping that for 2-3 years now?
Yeah.
Those are in the track. You can't get it out.
Yeah.
We should upgrade to 5/8 wheel studs. In my personal opinion, anytime you're drag racing. I don't know how many times I've been on the starting line and watched a wheel come off because they're using 1/2-inch studs. The 5/8 studs have a shank on them that are a true 5/8, and the 1/2-inch studs flex, especially if you're trying to run a long 5/8 stud that is. A lot of guys that run 1/2-inch studs will run a concave lug nut or a conical seat lug nut instead of an actual shank lug nut. So anytime you're drag racing, I always recommend 5/8 studs.
It's not that expensive of an upgrade. It's very cheap insurance.
Yeah, what is it like? I think it's $80-$90 or something like that. It's not very much at all.
Yeah. Very cheap insurance.
Yeah.
I would just plan on turning that thing all the way up, buddy. Unless it's hot. If it's a cool evening down there and the sun hasn't been beating the hell out of the track all day, it'll be fast. It'll be FAF.
We're gonna see how fast it's gonna be.
I know some of them guys going on smalls. I know it's crazy. Guys were going faster on smalls than bigs because the guys on bigs weren't figuring it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we plan on bringing our new small tire car there and hopefully debuting it there. Yeah, I mean, it's proven. The studs just aren't made as well. A 1/2-inch stud, and I don't know what 9/16 stud it was, but if it was a coarse thread 9/16, they're not made very well.
Yeah, it's just cheap insurance. I mean, think about your race car. You got 20, 10, 5, 30, $50,000, $100,000 in. was another $80.
Or if you have a Blazer, you got 350,000 in and it's still sitting on jack stands.
Roy living dangerously, trying to get autographs from me and on the 4-lug life, boy.
Listen, we went on 4-lug. I wouldn't do it again, knowing what I know now.
Listen, I ain't about that life, but I have seen some gangster passes made on 4-lugs.
I have too.
Big kahunas. Like leave the balls back in the trailer. They're so big they won't fit in the car, and then make some passes on 4s.
When we were running C-clip eliminators on our 8.8 when we first got with Moser and started doing some R&D with them, and they kind of took over. And Tim Irwin yelled at me for running a C-clip eliminator with what we were trying to do with the car. That's why we ended up doing that 40 spline 8.8.
Yeah, I bet. Right. But dude, so John, you still haven't responded to the fact that I said I'm going to be here all weekend, homie.
He said he's free tonight. He said he's free tonight.
Yeah. He says he's home till the 20th. When's the 20th? Oh, isn't that
Monday.
Oh, isn't that convenient? The 20th Friday.
Is it?
Gee, thanks, pal. No, it's Monday.
Oh,
That's what I just said.
Pizza and beer.
Ooh.
Or pop, whatever.
You're offering food?
Not for you.
You don't want to, like, here's the problem. If you offered me pizza and beer, I'd probably get naked while doing your 10 work. I'm not a good drinker.
Yeah. Hot wings. John, do you like hot wings? I love hot wings.
So how did you get your rear end in the Blazer?
Yeah, it's in.
It's all
dropped
set
right
up?
in. Well, the bracket. I didn't get the shackles put on, but and because I didn't have the shackles put on, I left my back brace just full width. So back to the U-bolt question, what I ended up having to do was drill through my back brace to get my U-bolts after everything was centered and placed. I don't really feel like it did anything structurally to the setup.
It won't.
Honestly. So that's an option too. And I like that the back brace goes the full width. Well, almost the full width.
Right.
Thanks for hanging out, Rick. Where are we at here? Action having a rear built now, 1,300 horsepower, 2,700 pounds on a 169 Glide. What ratio would you suggest?
Is it a turbo? Is it nitrous? Is it blower? What combo is it? What RPM are you going to turn?
Was thinking 390 to calm it down in the 60 for backside and street. Yeah, he'll do backside and street stuff.
Okay, so does he rely on wheel speed or does he dead stick the tire?
Nitrous big block,
8,500
RPM. I mean, he's nitrous. He's going to have to, he's going to have to dead hook that thing.
Some of them guys are relying on dead hooking them and bogging that motor down. Where my tuning has always come from, let's get just a touch of wheel speed and then stop the tire and pick the car back up.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it just really depends on your tuning, but I would say 390 will probably probably be a really good starting point to help calm it down. The problem with doing that is if you do get wheel speed, you're going to lose control of it. The lower the gear, the faster your wheel speed is. The higher the gear, the slower your wheel speed is. So there's variables there, but depending on how you're tuning the car, I would say probably a 390. Get you a good starting point.
Coming to Muncie this year?
It depends on the dates. Blake asked me to come up there and do some exhibition passes during one of his events. So I'll probably go up there and do that. It's I think it's in May. Pretty sure it's in May. But do you have any? You don't have any events at Muncie this year, do you?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, Muncie didn't sign up for the World Series this year.
Really?
Yep. Which they're gonna regret. Nah, I don't. I think Adam and those guys probably aren't doing races this year. They're real busy.
Yeah.
Actually racing. Well, did you tell him if you're running 4 lugs, obviously you were raised that way?
Yeah.
Tell him it's not your fault, it's his.
Right.
Let's see, what else do we got here? I think we pretty much covered everything. I think the technical difficulties with the freaking cat kind of screwed things up there.
What happened with your cat?
Went and knocked her out while I just was like 60 seconds in on being live, and the cat went and knocked the router off and then stepped on the power strip and turned it off.
Oh, shit.
Knocked it off the shelf and then turned. I don't know how that cat does whatever it wants, man. That cat's a fucking thug.
Yeah.
Walks around here attacking people, attacking Rottweilers. She gives zero fucks. You always recommend big bearing housing, 9-inch ends, or will small bearing ends?
I always recommend the big bearing. Always recommend the big bearing. There's no price difference in doing them. And if there is, it might be 25 or 30 bucks. I mean, there's.
No, that's what I was going to say. It's not. It's another one of those things. If I remember correctly, it was like 20 or 30 bucks. It wasn't worth talking about.
Right.
When we ordered my stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of the stuff that the cost is so minute. It's not worth skimping on.
This weekend, duh.
New calendar.
Sounds like somebody's already watching a preview of it over there at Tony's. You hear the hand banging on the table.
That was Josh.
Yeah. Somebody got some sneak shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think when I ordered all my stuff to upgrade it to the best version it could be, it was like. Honestly, it was like another $300 or $350 for all the upgraded shit. But that's back to the whole thing of performance, reliability, etc. It's a smart investment at that point,
Right.
So in my case, I called Tony and got a price, and then I bought the fucking rear end 9 months, 10 months later. It took me that long to save up for it. But
listen, a man of your stature, you had no problem paying, all the upgrade charges. You had plenty of money. It didn't matter.
Doc's coming for the shoot.
Yeah.
But I mean, it did. I mean, it took It did. It took me 9 months or whatever to save up the money to buy the whole deal at once.
Right.
But it's an it's a smart investment. You're gonna have less maintenance, less wear and tear, less bullshit, more reliability. Just spend the extra couple 10, 20, 30, 100, $200 and protect your vehicle from, tires breaking off. I mean, how much does it cost to replace? Even best case scenario, you snap the tire off and it just rips the quarter off and at the starting line, and it's now you're talking thousands of dollars repair, or you snap the fucking thing at the finish line and your shit's done because you want to save $80.
Not to mention, I can promise you, if you order a Moser rear end from me or from them, you're gonna get the warranty, the tech support that is well beyond industry standard. I mean, you're not going to get the tech support anywhere else. I had a customer order a rear end from me for an S10. He wanted to cut down an inch on each side, and he calls me up. He says, "Man, they cut it down wrong." So, what do you mean they cut it wrong? And he's explaining to me, "I measured it. It's exactly 1 inch shorter, but they did something wrong." I said, "Well, don't do anything. I'm not going to call them yet. Let me swing by." He lives over an hour away from me, so I stopped by there. And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at it. It took me about 10 minutes to figure out the bushings on his shackles had shifted over, and they pushed out and was causing it to overhang on the left side by an inch.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, so I mean, things like that. If you're close, we're going to come out and see what's wrong. I want to know so I can help fix it down the road, because we're human. We make mistakes. But what do we do when a mistake is made? On this case, it was on his car and on him. He didn't know any better. I didn't charge him a dime. I helped him figure out what the problem was. He fixed it. Super happy. He'll order another one. I guarantee it.
Serious question. Do you think track will stay around if everything was heads up? I think heads up racing is in its season right now. Heads up racing was real big back in the late 80s, early 90s, kind of died off, came back around early 2000s. Now it's back. I think we're, I think it's still going to be here for, I think it'll still be big for another 4 or 5 years at least, but
I think we're riding the biggest wave we've ever seen in drag racing, to be honest with you. No
of heads up, absolutely, yes.
Every bit of heads up drag racing is just through the roof right now. But the reality is, I ran a track. The reality is, bracket racing keeps them going week to week. You can only bring in so many heads up races. The fans are going to get bored. It's going to get stagnant. The payouts aren't going to be there. You have to have some excitement in it, right? So, reality, bracket racing pays the bills.
Yeah.
Heads up racing brings them all in. I mean, that's what gets them their dinner at the end of the day. But bracket racing pays for their lunch.
I think the best way I could probably think to describe it is, heads up racing is like going to the strip club after you win the lottery, and bracket racing is like seeing your grandma sneaking from the bathroom to her bedroom in her underwear.
I mean, you've apparently thought this out way too much.
Listen, I got so many bracket racer jokes, it ain't even funny. I mean, I just got like, psh,
no, I mean, that's reality.
But it is reality. You're absolutely right. And bracket and index racing and all the special programs, because there's all kinds of different shit. That's the bread and butter that keeps the doors open. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think right now we're getting ready to go into our biggest season ever of NPK. And if you look at the ratings, it shows. I honestly think we probably have another 8 to 10 seasons of this, because no matter what it is, if it's NPK, if it's you, if it's another promoter, you guys are actively looking to change. You're actively looking to make the next race better. That makes a big difference. Mother. Really? Lippy, I thought you had my back.
Listen, I do have your back. I'm just pre-gaming in case you ever go to jail. You know,
I didn't put
we
the
gotta
Kool-Aid
sell
on.
it.
I didn't
We
put
got
the
to
Kool-Aid
sell
on.
it. We got to sell it so you can get protection day one. Ball bearings are tapered and why?
Definitely ball bearing. I've seen some of the not necessarily with Moser or with any other rear end company, but with stock stuff, we've seen the tapered bearings fail. I'm more of a ball bearing sealed bearing type guy. It just seems like they handle the abuse a lot better.
And that was back a minute ago.
Doc, that's the problem with our industry. Everybody wants to make the dollar, but they don't want to look beyond that dollar. In this industry, it seems like as soon as you get that sale, the customer is forgotten about, and it doesn't set well with me. You need to. Oh my God.
This is why I have the greatest audience in all of live streaming.
I think you're messaging them, telling them what to do.
I don't have to.
Oh, God.
That's the beauty of it.
Why do I do
No,
that?
I agree. It is the new way, unfortunately.
It's very unfortunate because you get the bad thing about doing it that way is the internet now, right? Now everybody has access to the internet. So people don't think about the consequences of that, you know? And to me, I've made my money when I did the sale. What can I do to support it? Because now whoever I'm helping is going to tell the next guy, you know, then the next guy. And as you know, I don't advertise. I do everything on word of mouth. So we don't advertise at all. I rely on that customer relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And you just rely on relations with other guys. Oh, what's coming up now? I can see your wheels turning.
He's always fishing, always trying.
I'm not ready for bed.
Yeah, so tell everybody again, what's the number to the shop?
Number of the shop is 937-696-5041. If you call and the secretary takes a message and I'm not there, you can call 937-696-5081. I have one of the phones on me pretty much all the time. I suggest you call Josh Robinson. He is an expert in that field. He knows because his rear end tingles every time I walk around him.
Yep. And what's the name of the shop again?
Complete Auto Repair and Performance. Yeah, give me a call tomorrow and we'll get you set up. If for some reason I don't answer or whatever, just leave me a message. I will get back to you within a few minutes.
A few minutes.
Okay.
Listen, Richard, in that few minutes, don't be holding your breath like he said a few minutes. You'll fucking die.
No, listen, these are customers. They're not Josh and Josh.
Oh, you hear that? Game on now, huh, Josh?
No, I was
exactly.
Listen, I was just playing.
I see where I stand already.
More love to the rear, Limpy.
Limpy loves in the rear.
So yeah, give Tony a call. Also, across the street from the performance shop is Fast, Farmersville Auto Sales and Trailers. which if you remember a couple weeks ago, I posted the video when I picked my trailer up 6 months after buying it. It happens.
We didn't get our stories piece.
But they have a wide selection of trailers also. I just put that in there because, we're doing our T-shirt sponsorship thing. So Tony's sponsoring the shirt, so I better suck up a little bit, right? So go buy a fucking trailer from this dude if you need a trailer. Financing available.
And we can order anything. Anything from a race trailer to an enclosed trailer to a Bobcat trailer.
And every time I go down there, he typically has 30 to 40 trailers on the lot minimum. I haven't had Waffle House yet. I got my cheat days, but I haven't had Waffle House yet, man.
What?
I think I'm gonna have to make that an event and see how many people we can get to fill a fucking Waffle House up.
Oh, you got to do it. I'd come to Columbus for that.
Motherfucker.
We need to get him on one of them Today Show the Shock y'all got. No, they did not. Listen, if I haven't, I really thank you for your support, man, because it was bullshit. And Limpy and Happy both, they have our back.
Stood up for the homie.
Yeah. Yeah, there was you gotta remember it's a TV show. I'll leave it at that.
I don't know why they did, but they did.
Me either right about now. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Fuck that dude. You know what I mean? You ever see that expression on the internet? Fuck that guy.
Josh is hey, listen, it's gonna be battle of the Joshes. Who's gonna have their race car done before 2028?
We'll help each other. Fuck you. And we'll
Yeah,
get both
exactly.
done this year. What you got left in yours? Yours is pretty simple.
Mine?
What did you need? Didn't you need something?
Money.
Yeah, I need a
need
converter.
I can't. Michael Turner. Bro, come on.
I don't have that kind of money.
I got a couple of I got a 5500 stall. What transmission you putting in it?
Glide.
No.
LS 85 millimeter.
What else did you need?
He said whatever it takes to gap that Blazer.
Won't take
Did you
much.
hear that? Did you ever hear that come out of my mouth?
Yeah. I got some. I don't know. Send me a list of what you got. I'd probably help you out if I could. That fucker right beside you, though.
Does everybody hear that? Josh Robinson is
Hey, I need
race
some.
cars.
I need some Bosch 210s. Can't help you there, huh?
I think I do have a set. Smart ass.
Oh.
I gotta go look. Well, I did have two sets. One set's already spoken for Michelle's. I can't remember if I sold the other set or not. I had to look.
We'll help a brother out.
When's Michelle's going to be done? 2032?
Probably 30. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Why is he talking so much shit to you?
Hers actually slapped together quick and easy though. She's not stupid like me and buy all the sensors and all that other extra crazy stupid shit. That's how he likes it though. Dry. Sound like a fireplace roaring, crackling wood.
Limpy's not lying. It hurt. It was rough. It hurt.
There's nothing that could hurt your butthole.
That one did. That one hurt. Did I ever go over that with you?
Yeah.
No, he's right. It hurt.
I side with boosted though.
Yeah.
It's like, you already know how I roll. I ain't that dude.
No, I know. I didn't think he was either.
Oh, man.
Oh.
You mean like it's not the whole show every time? So, all right. So what we've learned here is Tony's a bad friend and he's not going to come help me this weekend.
No, Tony.
John says he's going to come help. And I bribed him. John, you never said if you like hot wings or not. Although, who did?
I can come hold a flashlight.
Come on. Oh, Jim. Jim, you're like 5 minutes from me. Hell yeah, I'll buy a whole tray of Rooster's hot wings.
Josh said he'll come up.
Ugh. What the heck? We don't need another motor. What size motor you got?
Limpy's on that Josh Robinson plan. 20 years to build a 13-second car.
Limpy's was just fired up, man.
Huh? Did he?
Wasn't yours? Did I just see a video of yours fired up? But do you see why I don't even root for this motherfucker right now? See all this shit he talks?
What?
Limpy's still taking up for you, but I'm still telling Limpy, fuck you.
Listen, me and Limpy's tight like butt cheeks.
No, you already know what would have happened if I was out there. I wasn't my nicer self.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of not my nicer. I mean, it's funny. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but I've had a couple of people try to tell me like I'm soft and mushy now.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, outside of my back being fucked up, like I run 7, 8, 9 miles a day and I do push-ups and lift weights and stuff. I don't think I'm getting softer just because I'm getting nicer. I've had a couple of people trying to like backhanded tell me I was a pussy. What the fuck, man? Why are people that way?
I mean, I don't know. Some people just yell at you in the middle of the day. Then you just start talking about weird shit.
All weekend, motherfucker. All weekend. There's your message right now in your time. What size listen, don't get me started on your hands. What size engine? You have 5.3? Let me know. Let me look around and see what I got around here. If you legit need something, I probably have a couple floating around here that I bought really cheap that I'll help you out with.
You're giving away all your eBay parts.
You're
giving away all your eBay parts.
And you gotta help the homie out.
Oh yeah.
I do have several good 5.3s around here. That I got before prices were stupid.
You know what the first thing Josh noticed was when we got on your live feed?
Huh?
All your Hot Wheels.
James Laurinaitis, my man. Sent them in. So my idea is I'm going to make a big conference table out of epoxy resin and put them all in there. You know, because I got plenty of room for a conference table. It'll be a pretty cool project. And then the rest of them I'm going to give to Bob Rice for his Hot Wheels racing that he does.
We
Just
always
not
get them all. We send Josh up to the Walmart. He buys a bunch of them, and we give them out to all the kids at the races.
I keep all the good ones though.
Yeah, he goes on some treasure hunt and keeps the good ones.
Well, I mean, you know, gotta do what you gotta do.
Right.
All right, everyone. I think we beat this horse. Sorry about the freaking internet issues.
If you need your rear end, get with me. If you need your rear end touch, get with Josh.
So hopefully the faithfuls that are usually on here will come back and listen to this later in the week, and again get with Tony or Moser if you need a rear end advice, parts, etc. What's that number again, Tony?
937-696-5081 or 937-696-5041.
So call him. Look, even if you don't need any rear end parts and you want to prank call this motherfucker and send me videos of it, I swear I will post every last one of them.
Listen.
Send that shit to me on Messenger on my personal page. Breathe heavy. Ask him if his refrigerator's running. I don't give a fuck what it is. Call and prank call this motherfucker if you're even, you know, everybody on here call him either to buy a rear end from him or prank call him, one or the other.
Prank calling me, I'm pouring a quart of oil under your car so you look forever for an oil leak.
All my shit leaks. I ain't looking for nothing. I don't fix leaks. I just carry oil. If it smokes or leaks, I just know that I need to carry oil from now on.
Or in it.
So, well, Olympia, I hope everything goes good with your motor, brother. But if not, let me know, and I'll go out back and see what we got in the junkyard. Yeah, see, that's my motto. No oil under it. That means there's no oil in it. Fill her back up.
We had a guy come in not too long ago, just wanted us to change his filter. I said, what? He said, what? My car burns 1.5 quarts, 2 quarts every 1,000 miles, so it doesn't really need an oil change. It just needs a filter change. It changes itself.
That's my Avalanche.
It was a GM product.
That's my Avalanche. It smokes a little bit and it drips a little more.
That was the wheel bearing.
Fuck you guys.
Look, can't even be mad at you. You can't be mad at anybody but me. I told you the wrong fucking side.
Listen, he asked you 3 times, are you sure?
Look,
we shook it down. We shook it.
I went to go pick up the trailer and I needed wheel bearings, so Josh was going to throw it on real quick. I told him the wrong fucking side. I got fucking 2 miles down the road and the fucking thing starts making a noise, growling again. I hit a hole and it's I was like, motherfucker. After it was a nightmare to get the one that didn't need repaired off.
I like that you waited a couple days to tell me. Like, man, I can't even tell Josh, but
I felt so bad.
Come fucking walking in with a part.
Listen,
I need it done as soon as possible. I got to be back at 4 o'clock.
As soon as you told me, I called him up and was like, dude, you put the wrong side on his truck. I didn't feel bad at all.
It made me feel like a piece of shit.
Bad part is I probably forget. I don't drive that truck that much, so now I got to buy another fucking wheel bearing. I just replaced that one like 500 miles or 1,000 miles ago, but I don't drive that truck that much. So now I got to buy another wheel bearing, and by the time it comes around to actually get it fixed, I'll forget and probably replace the fucking driver's side again for a third time in 1,000 miles.
That sucks.
Fuck it. There's worse things in life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
At least we got a great story out of it that we can laugh about forever.
Right.
So, all right, everyone. Have a great week. Thanks for tuning in. What we got going? What's next week? Who's coming on next week? Where's my list?
Just me.
Up next week, Rick Trunkett. And I'm sure he'll have some pretty good sick week stories too. They're down there racing at sick week this week. So,
Oh, were they? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I want to try that.
Dude, I definitely want to try that.
I do. I think I want to take the little red car down there and try it.
Mm-hmm. It'd be a fun time, man. I don't care how good, bad, whatever. I can just go hang out with everybody for a week and have
But
fun.
if he wants to do any good, he's got to let me drive it.
This is true.
Yeah, exactly.
Who won more with the red car last year?
Well, he was the only one that raced it last year. But anybody can do good with daddy's tunes and daddy's cars and daddy's money.
That ain't true. Daddy can't.
Oh. Oh.
And on that note, good night. God bless.